This guy is called Brian Mwenda. Brian has big dreams of becoming a huge successful lawyer, but he does not go to law school, perhaps because it's time consuming, who knows. You know, to become a lawyer in Kenya, you must do your undergrad bachelor's of law degree in a recognized university, then move to Kenya School of Law for postgraduate diploma. After that, do a pupillage of 6 months, which is basically practical training under a practicing advocate. Finally, you have to take the bar examinations and pass them. Only then can you be admitted as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Now, Brian thinks 7 years is too much time wasted, so he skips that part and somehow manages to become a lawyer.
Allegedly.
He handles cases in front of magistrates, judges in the Court of Appeal, and even the High Court. During the course of his practice, Brian is said to have won 26 out of 26 court cases. Bro is killing it in the courtroom. His career was going great and he finally was living the life he had dreamt about all his life. Now, in another side of town, we have this lawyer who is also called Brian Mwenda. Let us name him Brian B to avoid confusion. So Brian B is not doing so well in his career. He is having trouble establishing himself, and because of this, he is not able to continue practicing law. He then lands a job in the Office of the Attorney General. The job he gets does not require him to pay for his license, which is a plus for him. Being a lawyer in Kenya, you have to pay a bunch of fees to practice, about 25,000 Kenya shillings in the minimum. So Brian B decides he's not paying all that if he's not going to practice because there's no need to. And this changes your status, so you become an inactive lawyer. Now, one day in late September 2023, Brian B decides he wants to pay for the practicing certificate after all to become an active lawyer. He goes to log in to his portal in the LSK website, and to his surprise, he could not log in. He tried again and again, and still he could not access his portal. Frustrated and confused, he approached the Bar Association's IT team only to be told his identity was stolen. His email, his profile picture, his workplace details, all had been hijacked. There was a whole other lawyer impersonating him and actually practicing and taking his place, living his career and wearing his name. And that impersonator lawyer is none other than Brian Mwenda, the first Brian. Let us call him Brian A. So Brian A has won 26 court cases in a span of 1 year. He was submitting briefs, defending clients, and representing so many people, including one client who ended up being jailed for 21 years, and also represented a prominent figure, Maina Jenga, who is an ex-Mungeki leader whose case was of national public interest such that the court proceedings were televised. Brian A did all this using stolen identity and nobody noticed. The Law Society of Kenya, LSK, catches wind of this case and immediately deploys the LSK Nairobi branch rapid action team, who arrested Brian A on allegations of false pretense. They charged him with masquerading as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. You may be wondering how a platform like LSK could be infiltrated so easily. Well, this is what Brian could have probably done. So Brian might have carefully scanned through to see the lawyers with similarities to him, to which he spotted Brian B. For starters, their names are the same. He is Brian Mwenda Njagi and the other one is Brian Mwenda Twiga. Secondly, Brian Mwenda Twiga is inactive, which works in favor of Brian Mwenda Njagi, who wants to impersonate someone and use their credentials and qualifications. After identifying the targets, he probably used business email compromise, which allowed him to contact the secretariat and make an application for payment of practicing certificate. After getting in touch with the secretariat, he probably claimed that his application was not successful because they have an incorrect email in the system. So of course the secretariat will correct the email to the new one provided by the imposter and grant access. And that's it. The imposter now has full access to the victim's accounts. They can control their portal, change profile pictures, enter work details, and pay for a practicing certificate. Again, this is an explanation of how it could have happened and is not factual details of how Brian A stole the identity, because how he ended up stealing the identity is not quite clear. In fact, Brian had this to say about it.
It should be inconceivable to anyone if I bring that. I have all of these powers to harken to portals. However, I do not want to say much.
When the news broke, media stations immediately picked up this story, and the public loved Brian A for playing the system. For some reason, people love it when they see someone tricking the system. So Brian became an overnight sensation and some sort of celebrity. People were praising him for his intelligence, calling him a genius, and rooting for him. Prominent figures and even organizations announced their support for Brian, like the Central Organization of Trade Unions, COTU, showed its support with the Secretary General Francis Atwoli asking the government to recognize youth with skills and talents that could have been acquired informally. He had this to say: "As a seasoned labor leader, I can speak authoritatively that Brian's case is not unique. I know of many great engineers, accountants, teachers, IT experts, security experts, social workers, creatives, footballers, farmers, immigrants, plumbers, carpenters, and paramedics who are specialists in their areas of interest, yet without any paper to show their qualifications." Of course, COTU being the labor organization in Kenya, the Law Society of Kenya had to reply to their stance. They asked Atwoli to withdraw his statements and apologize, but to which Atwoli replied that he was not prepared nor willing to apologize or withdraw his support for Brian A. He went ahead to ask LSK to implement recognition of prior learning, which is an evaluation of an individual's knowledge, skills, and experiences that they can be granted qualifications and exempted from undergoing the full educational program to enter a profession and provide professional services. Another character that was central in this case was the former Nairobi governor, Mike Sonko, who also joined the entourage of supporting Brian A. Sonko committed himself, stating that he would facilitate his bail and all financial needs, like taking Brian A to school to get proper certifications if need be. He also claimed that he would be organizing an exceptional team of top lawyers in the country to represent Brian, but that never materialized. On the other side, netizens were having a field day with this news. Many were supporting Brian and calling him a hero for duping the system. Some comments read, "They must give him the job already, he's good at it. He will win this case in court. This will be the 27th case." This shows that sometimes you don't really need a degree. If you've got the talent, you've got the talent. And some graduate lawyers have never won a case. Kudos to Brian. This comment right here is bringing back memories.
We are having so many incompetent cabinet secretaries. For instance, Kipchumba Murkomen. Kipchumba Murkomen did law. He has never been in any law firm in this country. He has never won any case.
Senator Murkomen, he's a very junior person when it comes to matters of law. Very junior. He cannot fight a case which has been quoted in the law reports of him ever having prosecuted even a case in the Supreme Court. Can you mention even one case he has prosecuted?
In the midst of all this, there's one party who was not happy with Brian being a hero, the Law Society of Kenya. In fact, the president, Eric Deuri, seemed very irritated and angered seeing people praise Brian and call him a hero. He claims that Brian A was a criminal and a fugitive. Then updates from LSK emerged that Brian A did not win all those cases that people are saying he won, saying that it was false and misleading as there was no factual basis to support that he won the cases. They also claimed that Brian A made his clients lose a lot of money and he did not have the legal acumen people were saying he had. When the integrity and security of the LSK was questioned, people were wondering how easily their digital platforms could be manipulated to impersonate professionals, as there were other cases of impersonation making rounds in the media. The LSK representative assured Kenyans that their security was top-notch, even claiming that Brian A did not successfully get a practicing certificate because it was not issued to him, following the fact that he failed to submit some important documents in the application process under the fake identity. The LSK boss made sure the public knew that Brian A was a fraud, claiming to not knowing or legally being recognized as a practicing lawyer in Kenya. But well, the internet is a good place to jog one's mind as this picture suddenly reappeared. The court then freezed Brian's account, which he claims had 21 million, to which he forwarded a motion in court to have the judge order his account to be unfreezed as he wanted to use the money to pay dowry for his girlfriend. Interestingly, she broke up with him soon after, dismissing the dowry and wedding talks as a joke. Then clips of Brian A. in court and his personal life started to resurface in the internet. First, it was a phone call recording between Brian and the boss of the law firm he claimed to be part of during his practice. Brian A. had claimed to be part of this law firm, using it to convince his clients of his legitimacy. When asked why he did it, Brian claimed it was a misunderstanding and asking the boss of the law firm not to make a police report yet and give him 48 hours to solve the mess. Eventually, Brian A. was charged with 6 counts of making false documents, altering legal documents, and identity theft, to which he pleaded not guilty and was released on bail. As of 20th January 2025, an LSK official testified, stating that as soon as Brian sent the email asking for access to the portal, they received a call from another Brian, this time called Brian Mwenda, who claimed he had the same admission number as another lawyer also called Brian Mwenda. This case is still developing, and from the look of things, there are more twists and turns than we are prepared for. Brian's story feels like suits playing out in real life. It really baffles many how an illegitimate lawyer can thrive in one of the most regulated professions in Kenya. Or is it not? Still, people maintain that he was a hero and continued to cheer him on.